Just give everyone another minute to keep logging in.
Okay.
All right. Well, we just wanted to thank you all for joining us tonight in the GFIT webinar on the neuroscience of meditation. The call will be recorded and available for you on YouTube, as well as in next week's newsletter in case anybody misses it. As always, we encourage you to ask questions. There's a box that says Q&A at the bottom of the screen, and you can type your questions in there, and Cian will answer them either at the end of or in the middle of the webinar. We're in week 5 of our isolation wellness program, and we're going to continue to provide live exercise classes and isolation wellness webinars as long as the isolation period persists. And the topic of tonight's webinar, again, is the neuroscience of meditation. It's led by Cian Kenshin. And what we're going to learn is how in just 10 minutes a day, you can 10x your performance and reduce your stress response. Cian holds his MBA in finance. He's a consultant for 32 of the top sports franchises in the United States. He's a founder of a successful vertical farm company, a certified teacher of Yoga and Zen, and a sought-after executive coach. I left out a few points from your bio, Cian.
It's long.
We'll let your teachings speak for themselves as I turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Grant. We were actually just talking about my recent sort of name change. My last name is now Kenshin on all of the materials and publicly. And Kenshin's actually a Japanese name. Ken is heart and shin is trust, so courage and trust together. And that was given to me by my Zen teacher upon sort of getting more formally into the Zen tradition and being able to teach it and doing the teacher training in that. So I'd like to thank you all for coming tonight, and I'm sure you're very interested in this whole 10x your performance and meditation, and you've probably heard a bit about meditation. You may have seen some of the talks I've done already, or this may be new to you. Whether you're an advanced meditator or you are brand new, this should make sense for you. And it's going to be an experiential session, right? So I'm not just going to talk at you. I usually do more interactive sessions where I can see people, but I can't see you, although I see that there's quite a few of you tonight, so I'm grateful for that. And after, so we're going to start with a short little kind of 10-minute meditation. I'll give you guidance and instructions in this meditation. And after, I'll solicit some feedback from you and just ask for sort of what kind of challenges you may have had in doing the meditation. And what we'll find out is that many people have very similar challenges, and that the reason most people think meditation isn't for them is a misunderstanding and not a lack of talent or skill or aptitude. So with that, we'll just we'll sit down and we'll get ready for a short little meditation. It's going to be about 10 minutes, give or take. We'll just see how it goes. And so the first part is I'm going to give you instructions on how to sit. So you don't need to be sitting on the floor like I am. You can actually sit in a chair. There's also a lying down position, or you could be standing up. The really important part is for your spine to be straight and for it to be free to move. So even if you're sitting in a chair, try not to lean back on the back of the chair, because then we tend to slouch, right? And slouching curves the spine. It makes it harder for the energy to flow, for your cerebral spinal fluid to flow, your blood to flow up and down, the nerves. And it can make us sleepy. So if you're ever sleepy during meditation, just check your posture. Just kind of take a deep breath and sit up. The second thing is, if you're sitting in a chair, just try to have your feet flat on the ground, not kind of off to the side. If possible, just keep them sort of rested. Gently lift the tip of your chest up, not pushing it out, but just a little lift in it. And you'll notice that your shoulders kind of fall back as that happens. And then if you were just to tie a little string at the back of your head here, just lift it just a tad, and the chin's going to come down. Eyes are either closed or gazing down the bridge of the nose, unfocused, if you like to have them open. And the final position is your tongue rests on the upper palate, just behind the two front teeth. Now take a deep breath and just settle into this position. And just let your body relax into this position. Take a few more deep breaths. And we're going to start with a quick body scan. And this body scan will help relax your body and your mind to make the meditation easier. You don't need to do this every time, but today we're going to do it just because we've been running about all day. The life's been busy today. Maybe there's some stress at home or at work, which are probably the same place right now. Lots of reasons for the mind to be racing. So we're just going to sit a moment and embody ourselves. So now I invite you to bring your awareness to the bottom of your feet. And just notice whatever sensations are there on your feet. Just gently scan your mind, your awareness through your feet. Notice the pressure of the ground underneath them, or maybe the feeling of your socks. Whatever's there, just notice it. Now bring your awareness into your calves and just gently scan through your calves. And just notice what is there. Connect with it. You're just saying hello to all the parts of your body that are largely ignored throughout the day unless they're in pain. So today we're making an intention to connect with those parts of our body without them asking for it. Now bring your awareness into your thighs and your hips. And just scan in the same fashion. Just connecting and noting what's there. Now bring your awareness into your belly. And just notice how much tension we're holding in our belly at this moment. So take a deep breath into that belly, let it out. And as you exhale, just set the intention to leave that belly expanded and relaxed, as if all that air is still there. And just notice how different that sensation is. A relaxed belly versus a tight one. Now bring your awareness up into your heart center. And just connect with this energetic center of your body and notice any sensations. A pumping, a beating, a thumping, or maybe even a flutter. Whatever is there, just notice if you can connect with it. And take a moment to appreciate all the work this heart does. Take a moment to truly connect with this heart and just know that no matter how deeply asleep you are, this heart, these lungs, keep you alive. Now follow this energy up into your shoulders, noting any sensations down your arms, into your hands. And just notice if you can feel even just a subtle connection between your fingertips and your heart. You know it's there. Is it possible to feel it? And return to your heart. And just notice if those sensations have shifted, and then follow the sensations up into your throat. Noting any tension there. The center of self-expression. Then bring your awareness into your jaw. And just drop the bottom jaw ever so slightly. So there's a little gap in between your teeth. And that should relax the muscles in your jaw and just release the tension that may be held there. Now bring your awareness into your temples. And just rest there and notice what your temples feel like. Maybe imagine a connection between your heart and your temples. Now bring your awareness into the center of your forehead. And just notice any sensations. And also note the lack of sensation is a sensation. So just note whatever's there. There's no judgment. We're not looking for anything. We're just looking. Bring your awareness up to the top of your head, to your crown. Imagine a tiny little hole there. Inhale deeply through that hole. And then exhale out the top of your head and just let all your stress and anxiety go out that hole. And we are now ready for meditation. And so the instructions of this meditation will be to let go of your breath and just breathe normally. There's no need to breathe deeply or shallowly. Just let it go back to its normal, automatic sensation. And now that the breath has returned to normal, bring your awareness to your breath at the tip of your nose. And I just want you to notice the sensations that are going on at the tip of your nose as you breathe in and breathe out. And in this simplified version of the meditation, just notice the difference in the sensations of the in-breath versus the out-breath. Each one, notice those sensations. And at some point, you may find you've become distracted, and discursive thoughts arise, and we get caught in this chain of thoughts. Just smile and be grateful you noticed. And then bring your awareness back to the breath at the tip of the nose. Slowly deepen your breath. Wake up your fingers and your toes. Maybe move your spine around a little bit. And then come back and open your eyes, and we'll talk about meditation and neuroscience a little bit. And I'm going to start talking, but if any of you have any questions or would like to share maybe some of the challenges or what you experienced during that meditation, just drop it in the Q&A or chat feature here, and I'll pick a moment to go to that and address those. And until then, I'll just start talking, and we can find out what's actually going on in the mind when we're doing meditation, and how can it help us with our day-to-day lives? How does that work, right? Because that's the question on everyone's mind. Oh, I've heard I should meditate. I know some people who do, and they seem to be doing okay, maybe more calm than they used to be. How does that work? Why? Like, I don't understand how sitting for 5 minutes a day can help me at work. So we need to understand a little bit about how the mind works in order to understand how meditation can affect it. And so we will use, there's two models that are really good. There's a very simple one that the Tibetans used, and then we'll get into the one that's more based in neuroscience. So the Tibetans use a model where they describe your mind as a pack of wild horses, all tied together with ropes. So you got, like, say 5 different horses, and they've got these tethers attached to their heads, and the ropes are attached to the tethers, and they're all tied together in the center. And now these horses are just running in random directions. They're wild, right? So one's going this way, another's going that way, another's going that way. And you can imagine that the direction the pack goes at any given moment is dependent on whoever's the strongest at any given time. So say this guy's, he's got the most sort of pull, he's going to drag this pack of horses this way, right? Eventually he's going to get tired, and then maybe he's going to start going this way or even that way, right, towards you. Many of us have experienced this in our lives when we decide that we want to change something. For example, maybe, hey, I want to go to the gym, and you get really excited. Yeah, I'm going to go to the gym. And early on, it's super easy. You're going 2-3 times a week. That one horse who's really strong is dragging the whole pack with him. You get up, you're like, oh, I don't really want to go to the gym. Oh, no, wait, no, this is new. I gotta get going. So I'm just going to give her. But then over time, and many coaches know this, that there's this sort of gravity that you have to break free from when forming a new habit. And really in this model, what's happening is the horse is losing energy, and the rest of the pack is kind of dragging them back to, where the pack was previously, to whatever their patterns were, sitting on the couch or Netflix or just working too much, right? And then eventually the gym disappears. This is why people have New Year's resolutions, right? To try and set an intention to break this problem. The problem is not necessarily just in the creation of a habit, but it's also in a chaotic mind. So in the neuroscience metaphor, we look at the mind as a collection of subminds, right? And each of these subminds has a function. For example, seeing, moving, hearing, talking, da 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 da. Just imagine a whole bunch of different functions in your mind that govern sort of the higher level operations that would be done at the conscious level. We're not talking subconscious. Like heart beating wouldn't be at this level. It would be somewhere in the unconscious subminds. Now, in this metaphor, each of these subminds is a board member around a table, right? So we have this big table. This is our consciousness. And we have board member of seeing, board member of hearing, board member of moving, so on and so forth. And these board members all have their own agendas, they all have their own patterns, but they also have their own specialties, right? So the seeing guy works with the hearing guy because they have to like collaborate to say, oh, I heard this thing over there. When the seeing guy looks at it, we're going to associate the sound with the object that we're seeing. So that happens. And so what's happening is these guys have to communicate at the conscious level, right? And sometimes you'll noticeably hear this communication. For example, there's this internal narrator saying, I'm going to go stand up. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to drink this coffee. See, that's the most sort of visible example, is that internal narrator that we all have, right? But there's many other functions that our consciousness does that we experience, for example, seeing, right? Now, the interesting thing about this model to note, and this is where your mind's capacity comes in, is that say you even got 20 of these board members, right? 20 major functions in your consciousness. Only one can talk at a time, right? If two talk at the same time, everyone gets confused. They can't hear either, and one has to start over and the other has to wait. Luckily, this happens really fast. I don't know if many of you know how computers work, but this is very similar. A computer can only do one thing at a time. It just does millions and millions of things every second. So it appears to be able to do all these things, like run Zoom on your screen while you've got your email in the background and all this stuff, but it's really only doing one thing at a time. Your mind is very similar. So this is where capacity comes in. If you can only do one thing at a time, then the amount of things you can do per second introduces a constraint. Okay? And this constraint, let's just say it's 100 per second for the average human. I don't really know what it is. I'm sure it's a lot more than that. But for argument's sake, let's just say it's 100. In your normal day-to-day life, just remembering, to all the things you have to do in the day, thinking about walking, thinking about seeing, that voice in your head going and going and going, all these things, let's just say, for example, they take up about half your capacity, right? About, say, 50 per second. We're just going to say 50 mind moments. We're just going to say each one of these communications, the board members talking to each other, is one mind moment. And we're going to say we have 50 per second being used and 50 per second open, right? And that would be great. If that was the case for all of us, none of us would feel stress. Everything would be lovely. Life would be grand. But it doesn't seem to be that way, does it? Not for a lot of us. So what's the problem? The problem is that, say now you're having a fight with your partner. Let's just add on another 10 per second, because that's going to be running through your mind over and over and over and over again. Rumination, right? When is she going to forgive me, or he going to forgive me? When are we going to stop fighting about this thing? It's stupid. Whatever the story is going to run through your mind over and over and over again. And now say, maybe your boss is getting down on your case. There's another 10. And then maybe you had to take the car into the shop and you're worried that it's going to cost too much, because they always seem to make it cost too much. Yeah. I can definitely feel you guys nodding. I can't actually see it, but I'm imagining that you're nodding. So yeah, okay, so you've got all these things, and let's just say you've got up to 95% So 95 mind moments out of 100 are being used every second because of all these things that are just running through your mind. What happens is your mind has like this self-regulation, self-monitoring system in place. And it knows when the network, this is your neural network, your brain, it knows when this conscious level, this conscious part of it is coming close to its maximum capacity. And this is that feeling of like, I'm kind of up here with today. Like, I'm not like blown out of the water, but like, you know, I'm feeling it. There's this low level anxiety, maybe some stress, right? But I can handle it. I'm good. I swear I'm good. But it is up here. And you can really tell when you're in that state when one more thing drops on your desk and you're just like, I don't have time for this. I can't even, no, just, it's too much. It could even be a very small thing, but in that moment, it feels like way too much. I mean, like, I know people who have been, you know, the very next day, look at that thing and be like, why did I think that was such a big thing? Because something else got released, right? It's these feelings that come up. They're giving us information, right? This feeling of stress is telling us, hey, your neural network is like, it's under load. It's almost in overload, right? And then when that one more thing comes in, boom, overload. I've had it. It's enough. I can't handle it. I got to go for a smoke. I go for a drink. I need to do something to release stress. And so we have all of these responses that we've built into our patterns and habits to respond to these signals. And we go and we do whatever it is that we do to deal with that. Some people go meditate, right? The interesting difference that meditation brings into this, other than the other stress, like patterns that we use to deal with stress and to like lower that load, is that meditation kind of is a cumulative thing that helps. Now, how does that work? Let's say that meditation is like going to the gym for your mind, right? And so how is that like, well, sure, that sounds fine, but how does that make sense? Well, what we were doing when we were meditating, and this is the part that catches a lot of people, is we were sitting still and we were focusing our mind on a single object, and then we get distracted. The interesting thing is we don't notice that we've become distracted until a little later on. It's the whole point, right? Is that because if you noticed right away, you would not become distracted. So something happens in our mind where we lose awareness, fall asleep, thoughts come up. Oh, the car, it's rusty, need to take it in, my boss, my wife, blah, 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 blah. This whole chain of thoughts. Now, the interesting thing is that that moment where you notice you've become distracted is very important. And if you think back to the instructions I gave, I said, be thankful and gently bring your awareness back to your nose. This is the point where most people get very frustrated with themselves. As soon as they notice they've been distracted, like, darn it. I've got to like, really, I'm going to try harder to focus. But it doesn't work. It never works. It can't work because you're going to get really tense. And then at some point you're going to lose your awareness anyways and get distracted. Now, the way neuroscience, what neuroscience tells us and informs us about this meditative practice is the moment you notice you've become distracted, that wasn't really you noticing. That was a subconscious process in your mind saying, hey, you just got distracted. Do you actually want to be focused on your breath? Because I know you were doing that. So I'm going to let you know that you're, caught in thoughts. And so it wakes you up to the fact that you're distracted. And this subconscious process that does this for you it's a little like a dog or a child. It's not super intelligent, but it takes the feedback that you give it. So if the moment you wake it up, or like it wakes you up, you get really angry at yourself, it doesn't know the difference. It's just like, oh, I guess he doesn't want to wake up. I guess I'll stop doing that. And then meditation gets harder and harder and harder. So when you become distracted and then you wake up and you're grateful, you're giving it positive reinforcement. And then it's going to actually get better and better and faster. And this is going to bring up your ability to focus on things. So I like to say in the gym metaphor, every time you lose your concentration and then gain it back is like a rep at the gym. You're pumping iron for the mind, right? Oh, I lost my concentration again. Awesome. There's my rep. I lost it again. There's my rep. And you keep going in this back and forth. Your meditation isn't meant to be all peaceful. It's meant to create peace in your mind by training it. So it's like going to the gym, right? Why do you go to the gym? Well, because if you sat on the couch and then you had to go help your friend move, it would be really hard to lift all those things. But by going to the gym, when your buddy says, hey, can you help me move? You're like, yeah, no problem. It's easy to lift those things. So meditation is just like that. Lose focus, gain focus, lose focus, gain focus. Going to the gym, building up the capacity of the mind, the capacity to stay focused. And what this does is it takes that 100 mind moments per second, and let's just say over time, maybe 3 months, even 30 days is going to pump it up, but let's just say in 3 months you go up 50%, and in a year maybe you go 10x, right? Like, the point of the matter is you're increasing your capacity. And I mean, personally, I had very, very profound changes in my life and my ability to show up at work, at home, with clients in just 3 months. And I started with 5 minutes a day, and I did 10 minutes. And I started increasing it, not because I felt I had to, because I started enjoying it. So you increase your mind moments, let's say up to 150. So now if you were at 95 before, out of 100, now you're 95 out of 150. So you have that additional capacity. Just like going to the gym, you have that additional capacity to lift the fridge that your buddy wants you to lift, right? It's no problem because you've practiced lifting things. So meditation is practicing lifting mental objects in a way, right? Mental objects being all those thoughts that you're having about work, life, family, all the things that are running through your mind all the time. Because there's a lot of those, right? But there's one more really interesting aspect that it also helps with. It also teaches you how to let go of thoughts instead of pushing them away, right? So before, if you were like awoken to a thought that you didn't want to have, thoughts are distracting me, push them away. Well, that doesn't work. that just puts more energy into those thoughts, and they're going to come back with that extra energy. It's like trying to push a wave in a pool away. You ever try that? They're always going to bounce back eventually. So instead of pushing thoughts away, you just divert your attention to the object of focus. And that, in a way, just lets the thoughts go without putting energy into them. And so that's teaching you how to let thoughts go. So now, not only are you 95 out of 150, but now you've been able to let go of like maybe your boss, and you're down to like 85, and then maybe the problem with the car, you're like, oh, whatever, you know, I'll deal with it when I get there. And it's down to 75. It doesn't have to be running through my mind. I got this thing I want to focus on right now. So meditation's almost a microcosm of what the skills that you can employ throughout the day, of like, oh, this thought's really bothering me right now. Go away. No, instead of that, instead of saying go away, you're just like, thought's really bothering me right now, but I want to be focused. So I'm going to use the focus skill that I've been building up by doing these reps. And the thoughts will just evaporate over time, right? This takes practice. Like, you don't walk out of the gym with big muscles the first day, you know, like any of Grant's team will tell you, you know, you have to actually show up and do the work. But it's a system that helps you overcome problems that you encounter in life. So let me just check and see if there's any questions here. No questions so far. Okay, well, I imagine you are all taking this in, and we will then do a guided meditation, and we'll skip the body scan because we're all sitting here nice and quiet, and I'll just give you this meditation you can use at home right early in the morning, 5 minutes a day. You know, I find it's actually really good to do the meditation in the morning if possible. One, you know, you get up before your family wakes up, and you spend that 5 minutes alone. You don't have them interrupting you or demanding your time. Two, before you eat or shower, it helps because it just helps you kind of squeeze it right in before anything else happens, right? If you do anything before meditation, I do recommend a little bit of cardio or some yoga. If you have a morning yoga practice, meditation's so much better after you've woken the body up and the mind up with movement, right? Then you've like warmed up, you've got all of your body fluids moving, and that helps the mind be awake and have like the energy it needs to support this kind of exercise that it's going to go in. So yeah, 30 days, you will definitely notice changes in the way that you're able to handle stress. You know, I run several businesses, and I do consulting. I have coaching clients, and I'm launching, you know, a new business. And I just finished a retreat in Costa Rica. And like, I'm always like, friends are just like, I don't know how you handle all that stuff, man. Like, how do you do it? And it's just, I enjoy it all. And I have the mental capacity to handle all these balls in the air and to not worry about dropping them. Oh, I think we have a question here. So we'll answer the question before we get into the final meditation. This is from Trisha, and she says, what is your favorite thing about meditation? Well, for me, my favorite thing about meditation was that I credit it directly for me being able to lose 75 pounds in the span of like a year and a half. and I have this really awesome graph. I have like a smart scale. Maybe I can send it to the GFIT team and they can post it. But it shows like I'd been going to the gym and I had years of up and down, like, down like 10 pounds, up 15, like kind of like that sort of roller coaster, right? And then I started meditating. And it's just like just drops. Like, I'm not even joking. It's something else. So that was for me kind of like the real eye opener into the power of it, because I didn't even notice what was going on. Yeah, thank you. So that's awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that. um at first I didn't even notice what was going on. I just like, yeah, my behavior started changing. I guess like I wouldn't say I was a drinker, but I'd go out on the weekends and with the rest of them, and I just found I didn't do that as much. Um, and I just didn't eat as much. And so what I figured out is that all of these things that I was doing were coping mechanisms for stress. So I build up all the stress throughout the week, and then the weekend would come and I have to do all these other things to like blow the stress out of my brain, right? Just to like, let it go. And 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, I even stopped smoking. And I hadn't even set out to stop smoking. I just stopped because I didn't need it anymore. Your mileage may vary, and you probably have other things that are coping mechanisms that you use to deal with stress, not necessarily consciously. When you start to meditate, you're not immediately conscious of the effects that it's having on you. It's only in looking back that you're like, oh, wow, yeah, look at all that stuff that's changed. That's really cool. And for me, it was like the graph was really telling to like actually see that. And like I didn't even pick up a going to the gym until like 3 months in to meditating. That was purely just changes in habits, and not from trying to change habits. Just habits just dropped away because I had just started this daily practice. So yeah, that's my favorite thing about it. And I'm sure you will all have your own wonderful experiences. So with that, we got one more question. I think we have time. Is there a website or program to sign up and learn more about meditation? So yeah, like I have, my website is mindhacker.com, and I have a courses section on there. There's the GFIT, I think it's gfitwellness.com. Does anyone know what the actual site is? I can just find it really quick here. Yeah, teamgfit.com. So the webinar that you signed up with here, the GFIT company, they do personal training, they do wellness. So you're signed up on this list. So you'll be getting emails out about sort of upcoming webinars and things like that. And if you do sign up on mindhacker.com or on Facebook, you look up Mindhacker, you'll get information directly from me as well. Okay, so spelling the website, GFIT is GFIT, so team, TEAM, GFIT.com. And Mindhacker is MINDHACKER.com. Okay, thanks for those questions. Okay, we'll do a short meditation that you can use at home. Also, if you go to Mindhacker, I can send you guys some free guided meditations. Maybe I'll talk to the GFIT guys and we can send out a link to some free guided meditations I've made so you can just listen to them at home. And without further ado, we will do our final guided meditation. So just the things to remember is when you lose your concentration and then finally notice you've lost it, just be kind with yourself. Just be happy that you noticed. And gently bring your awareness back to the breath at the tip of the nose. That's really all there is to it. Okay. So here we go. Adjust your posture, adjust your spine. Make sure it's relaxed. Your shoulders are relaxed. You're not slouching. Take a deep breath. And now gently bring your awareness to your breath at the tip of the nose. And with every in-breath, just notice the sensations of the breath at the tip of your nose. And with every out-breath, just notice these sensations. And with every in-breath, silently in your head, count 1. And with every out-breath, 1. Then 2. 2. And so on. And at some point you may notice that you've been counting, but you lost focus on the breath. And just smile and be grateful that you awoke and bring your awareness back to the breath at the tip of the nose. And then count 1. The goal is not to count to 10. The goal is to notice when you lose awareness. And the counting just is a tool to help us keep grounded. It also helps us notice how long it takes us to notice the loss of awareness. And if you should lose awareness of the breath again, just smile and bring your awareness back to the breath at the tip of the nose. And then start at 1. And this even helps if you get interrupted with your meditation, if someone makes a noise, or a kid starts running around. Also, just notice how that's just another distraction. And your awareness was pulled towards that mental object instead of a thought. And turn that into your practice instead of getting angry at it. Just go, oh, I've become distracted again. Back to 1. And this way we can learn to meditate anywhere, even on a bus, with all these distractions all around us. We learn to turn it into practice. And now gently wiggle your fingers and your toes. Open your eyes and adjust your spine. And that's it for the meditation. So I'd like to open it up for more questions or comments. Oh, you're welcome too. Thank you. Thank you. It's wonderful. I appreciate that, guys. I really, really enjoyed having you all here. If there aren't any more questions, Becky. Thank you, Becky. Thank you for your question. That's a great question, actually. Is it the longer or the more often, the better? And that's the perfect question, actually. So the best thing you can do is to do it daily, even if it's just 2 minutes or 5 minutes, right? Doing it an hour every couple of days is not so good. In order for this to become a practice that is going to really benefit you, it's much better just to have that daily practice. And that's, your mind is much better at building up that sort of those new patterns when you do it daily. This goes for any sort of practice, really. Oh, thank you. Sandra says I have a relaxing voice. I appreciate that. Yes, I've been told. Karen says, I found myself drifting to sleep. Is that bad? If you're tired, it's not bad. I had a meditation teacher who gave me all these techniques to deal with sleepiness. I said, number 1, meditate in the morning. Number 2, exercise before you meditate. Number 3, if you're still falling asleep while you meditate, take some deep breaths, check your posture, sit up straight. If that doesn't work, stand up, do standing meditation. And I'm like, well, what if that doesn't work? He's like, go to bed. And sometimes you just need to go to bed, right? But if you're trying to do that daily thing, just do 5 minutes, and it's going to be hard. You're going to be distracted all the time. There's still value in doing it. He also said the only bad meditation is the one you didn't do. So even if you sit down and your just mind's all over the place and you feel like you're not doing anything, it's still valuable. Okay, we have some more questions here in the chat. Can you please spell your website? Andy Hacker. I'm just going to put it in the chat here. My blog is www.somewhere.ca as well. And somewhere.ca has more of articles that I've written on meditation. That's also where the guided meditations are on the podcast there. What are your thoughts? Grant says, what are your thoughts on listening to binaural sound waves while you meditate? Okay or not okay? I'm going to say very okay. In fact, the guided meditations I do that I give away for free on somewhere.ca, they all have binaural beats built into the meditation. So there's music, there's binaural beats, and then my voice over top that gives you the instructions on how to interact with the sound waves, how to relax, how to do the meditation. So I guide your mind through various aspects of your body and mind and direct your attention at different things. And binaural beats are very special. The research that I've done suggests that for a person who's doing daily practice, so that 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day, it's going to shave off like 20 years or something crazy like that of meditation sort of practice. So it basically like really accelerates how your mind changes, and you can get to those higher levels that like even like monks get to, but they do it kind of the hard way without technology, or at least they used to. I'm sure a lot of them are using binaural beats these days, but back in the day we didn't have that kind of technology, and so they had to do it kind of the hard way. The binaural beats, just what they do is they synchronize the two hemispheres of your brain so that they're both working together on noticing when you become distracted and noticing your response to it and then coming back. So that really like accelerates the learning process that's happening there. Miranda, hi Miranda. She says, what about discomfort that we might be feeling in our bodies, i.e. sore muscles, maybe an injury? I feel as if I'm just focusing on that pain discomfort. What are your recommendations in dealing with that? Excellent question, Miranda, and I'm glad you asked. So there's two types of pain. Number one is pain that you should pay attention to. So for example, if you're trying to sit cross-legged and you're not used to it and you get some pain in your knees, that's probably something you should pay attention to, because you may be damaging your knees. So do make sure you adjust your sitting posture so you're as comfortable as possible. But then inevitably, and even like advanced meditators have to go through this, if you do end up sitting for longer periods of time, you're going to feel pains in your body. And this is a more advanced technique. When you're just doing 5-10 minutes, it shouldn't be too bad. Although I will address that because I think I know what you're talking about there. But if you do longer sits, eventually you just have to accept that the pain's going to come no matter how you adjust your posture, and eventually the adjustment becomes a problem that's just another distraction. When you're first starting, it's good to kind of learn about a good way to sit. If you do have an injury, be mindful of it. Try not to increase the injury with meditation. But at a certain point, yeah, muscles do, like say you've been going to the gym a lot and they're just sore and they're distracting you. Maybe it's not actually a problem. It's not going to hurt you. They are just like another thought. You treat them like another distracting thought. And so in this case, they may be a rather persistent distracting thought, right? oh, I've tried letting it go. I've tried letting the pain go. I'm bringing my focus back. But my mind keeps going to my thigh for some reason. And no matter what I do, yeah, I understand that every time I lose focus and gain focus, that's a rep, but it's getting really frustrating. Okay, fine. So what we do in that case is we shift our meditation object. So we say, okay, fine. We're going to stop paying attention to breath at the tip of the nose, and we're actually going to focus on the pain. You want my attention so bad? Okay, here you go. I am now focused on the pain. Focused on the pain. Focused on the pain. Wait, where'd it go? What's going on? Why did that? I'm supposed to be focused on the pain. Where'd it go? Okay, I think I know what's going on here. The mind can definitely play those kind of tricks on you. And so when you get deeper into meditation, you start to learn more advanced techniques like shifting the meditation object intentionally to explore how does that affect the way you build awareness and focus of what's going on in the body and in the mind. So the techniques and the mental model that I've described today is just the very beginning. But that is truly enough for that, like, to get that 90 days to 10x your performance at home and at work, where you're like, well, maybe I don't really want to be a professional meditator. I don't want to, get like super into the theory. I just want it to work for my life. I just want to reduce stress. What I've given you today is more than enough to get you there with a consistent practice. If you want to go further, feel free to contact me on my websites there. You can also email me, cian@mindhacker.com, and I'd be happy to have a chat with you. On my website, you can also book a free 30-minute coaching discovery call, no charge. It just goes into my calendar and we can talk about meditation. We can talk about anything. Yeah. So that's something I'd be happy to do for any of you.
Cian, man, thank you so much. I just wanted to say that we're extremely grateful for this lesson, and I love the Q&A, and I love how you drew the line between meditation and how it can actually help us in real life situations. So super grateful, and thanks so much for your time.
I really appreciate that. I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to teach. This is what I love to do. I love to help free people from the traps of their own mind.
Awesome. Have a great night. Stay safe, stay positive, stay healthy.